Have you ever felt that quiet sense of relief when plans get cancelled and suddenly the night is yours again? No pressure, no noise, just the calm hum of your home. Most people call that loneliness. But psychology calls it something else entirely. For many, that deep sense of comfort when you're alone isn't isolation, it's safety. It's your nervous system finally shifting from fight or flight into rest and digest. Your heart slows, your breathing deepens, cortisol levels drop, and your mind begins to exhale. That silence you feel, it isn't emptiness, it's your body whispering, "You can rest now." Yet, society often misunderstands this. We glorify being busy, loud, and constantly on. So when someone prefers quiet nights over crowded rooms, we label them withdrawn or antisocial. But what if staying home isn't about avoiding the world? What if it's about protecting your balance within it? In this video, we'll explore the real psychology behind people who love staying at home, from the biology of calm and the science of sensitivity to the difference between solitude and loneliness. You'll discover why homebodies aren't running from life, but instead living it at a deeper, healthier rhythm. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do for your mind isn't to go anywhere. It's to simply come home. Let's explore the psychology of people who feel most alive in stillness. Modern culture tends to misread people who prefer staying at home. In a society that celebrates visibility, activity, and constant motion, quiet living is often mistaken for disengagement. We're told that to be valuable, we must be out there networking, achieving, posting, participating. As a result, those who find comfort in stillness are sometimes labeled as lazy, antisocial, or emotionally closed off. But psychology tells a different story. Preferring to stay at home is not the same as fearing the world or avoiding people. It's often about regulation, knowing how much stimulation one can handle before it becomes overwhelming. For highly sensitive or introverted personalities, the outside world can feel like a constant stream of noise, lights, and social demands. Home offers something the public sphere cannot: control, predictability, and emotional safety. This misunderstanding also stems from what psychologists call the cultural bias toward extroversion. Western societies, especially in the US, idealize traits like sociability, assertiveness, and outward energy. Being outgoing is seen as confident and successful, while solitude is subtly linked with inadequacy or shyness. Yet research shows that both introverted and extroverted temperaments are equally healthy. They simply regulate energy differently. The truth is, loving your home is not about escaping life. It's about creating a context that supports your mental and emotional balance. In psychological terms, it's an adaptive preference, a way of choosing the environment where your nervous system functions best. So when someone says they'd rather stay home on a Friday night, it doesn't mean they're missing out. It often means they've learned something essential about themselves, that peace, not performance, is what keeps them whole. One of the most common psychological traits found in people who love staying at home is high sensory sensitivity, a temperament studied by psychologist Dr. Elaine Aron, often referred to as the highly sensitive person, HSP. Roughly 20–30% of people have this trait, meaning their nervous system processes external stimuli, light, sound, emotion, and social cues more deeply than others. For a highly sensitive person, a normal day in a busy environment can feel like an emotional marathon. Bright lights, background chatter, multiple conversations, even subtle shifts in tone or body language can register with unusual intensity. Over time, this overstimulation leads to fatigue, irritability, and mental overload. Home becomes the counterbalance to that intensity, a sensory sanctuary. Within familiar walls, the brain can finally lower its alertness level. There's no need to scan faces for approval or brace for unexpected noise. Predictability restores calm. The nervous system shifts from high alert to recovery mode, allowing emotional and cognitive resources to reset. This isn't weakness or social avoidance, it's biology. A highly sensitive nervous system is finely tuned for noticing details and emotional nuances that others might miss. That same depth of perception often leads to creativity, empathy, and reflection qualities that flourish best in quiet environments. So when a sensitive person chooses to stay home, they're not retreating from the world, they're recharging from it. Home isn't an escape, it's the space where their inner world can finally breathe. One of the most overlooked reasons people love staying at home is the psychological relief of authenticity. In public, we often perform versions of ourselves polite, confident, sociable, shaped by expectation and social norms. Psychologists call this the social self, the part of our identity that manages impressions and adapts to context. It's not dishonest, it's survival, but constant self-monitoring requires energy. At home, that performance finally ends. The moment the door closes, the social self dissolves, and the authentic self reappears, the version that doesn't need to impress, entertain, or manage emotional tone. You move, breathe, and think differently because your body senses freedom from external evaluation. In psychological terms, your cognitive load decreases and your self-awareness deepens. This process is not trivial, it's restorative. Taking off the social mask allows for what researchers describe as psychological decompression. The nervous system stops anticipating social cues, and the mind stops rehearsing what to say next. Emotional energy that was once spent on managing impressions can now redirect toward creativity, reflection, or simple rest. That's why being home often feels like coming back to yourself. It's not just the physical space that comforts you, it's the permission to exist without an audience. And in that privacy, something profound happens. The mind grows quieter, emotions settle, and you begin to hear the inner voice that gets drowned out in daily performance. Home becomes not just where you live, but where you realign with who you really are. In psychology, solitude and isolation are two very different experiences, though they may look the same from the outside. Isolation is the absence of connection. It often comes with loneliness, fear, or emotional numbness. Solitude, on the other hand, is an intentional choice, a period of being alone that feels peaceful, centered, and meaningful. People who love staying at home often understand this difference instinctively. Their time alone isn't about pushing the world away, it's about coming closer to themselves. Solitude creates space for reflection, a chance to process emotions, integrate experiences, and listen to thoughts without the noise of other people's expectations. Psychologists have found that those who regularly spend comfortable time in solitude tend to score higher in emotional intelligence and self-awareness. They're better at identifying their own needs and managing emotions because they've practiced being with their inner world instead of avoiding it. In solitude, creativity and healing also flourish. The quiet allows new insights to surface, ideas, realizations, or clarity that rarely appear in constant conversation. It's a kind of intimacy, but inward, a dialogue between your conscious mind and your deeper self. So when someone enjoys staying home alone, it doesn't mean they're disconnected. It often means they've learned how to connect inward first. Because the truth is, people who are most comfortable in their own company tend to build the most genuine connections when they step back into the world. The calm we feel at home isn't just emotional, it's physiological. When you enter a familiar, safe space, your brain activates what scientists call the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's natural rest and digest mode. This system slows your heart rate, lowers blood pressure, and reduces the release of cortisol, the hormone associated with stress. In simple terms, your body recognizes, "I'm safe here." This is why so many people notice that their thoughts feel clearer at home, or that they suddenly get emotional after a long day outside. The mind can only process feelings once the body exits survival mode. When the threat response quiets down, buried emotions and creative thoughts rise to the surface. It's not breakdown, it's release. Psychologists describe this as emotional regulation through environmental control. At home, you decide the lighting, the temperature, the sounds, all of which signal stability to your nervous system. Predictability equals safety. Safety equals calm. That's why even small routines, brewing coffee the same way each morning or lighting a candle before bed, can feel deeply grounding. They act as micro-signals to the brain that order has returned. So, when you feel at peace in your own space, it isn't just comfort, it's chemistry. Home provides the conditions where your body can repair, your mind can integrate, and your emotions can finally exhale. That's what real healing feels like: quiet, steady, and safe. Even though staying home can be deeply restorative, many people feel a quiet sense of guilt about it. In modern culture, busyness has become a form of identity. We're taught that productivity equals worth, that to be visible is to be valuable. As a result, choosing stillness can feel like breaking an unspoken rule. Psychologists refer to this as the social comparison trap. Every time we scroll through photos of parties, vacations, or achievements, our brain subconsciously measures our own lives against what it sees. This process triggers feelings of inadequacy, or FOMO, the fear of missing out. Even when we logically know those images are curated, emotionally, they still whisper, "You're falling behind." But there's another side to this story, something researchers now call JOMO, the joy of missing out. Unlike FOMO, JOMO is not apathy, it's agency. It's the conscious decision to step away from the noise and invest energy into what truly matters. Rest, learning, relationships, creativity, or simply peace. It's saying, "I'm not missing out, I'm opting into something quieter but more meaningful." From a psychological perspective, JOMO aligns with healthy boundaries and emotional autonomy. It reflects self-awareness, the ability to choose what nourishes your mental health over what earns approval. So, if you love staying home, you're not avoiding life, you're curating it. You're choosing depth over display and presence over performance. While the comfort of home can be healing, psychology reminds us that every strength has a shadow. The same environment that offers peace can, at times, become a refuge that limits growth. The key difference lies in choice. Healthy solitude sounds like, "I could go out, but I'd rather stay in." Unhealthy withdrawal sounds like, "I can't go out. The thought makes me panic." When staying home shifts from preference to necessity when it feels like you're trapped rather than choosing, it may be a sign of deeper distress. Psychologists note several possible patterns. Depression, when motivation and joy fade across all areas of life. Agoraphobia, where public spaces trigger intense fear or panic. Trauma responses, where the outside world feels unsafe because of past experiences. These reactions don't mean weakness. They signal that the nervous system has been overwhelmed. The body is trying to protect itself. If your home begins to feel more like a cage than a sanctuary, that's the moment to reach outward for support, understanding, or professional help. Healing doesn't mean leaving home. It means restoring the freedom to choose when and how to step beyond it. In recent years, the world has quietly shifted toward a new appreciation of home-centered living, what psychologists and sociologists call the homebody renaissance. After 2020, When people were forced to slow down and adapt to remote work, something unexpected happened. Many discovered that solitude wasn't emptiness, it was clarity. Cultural movements like hygge in Denmark, cottagecore in the US, and the global rise of slow living all celebrate the same principle that comfort, stillness, and presence have value. This shift marks a cultural correction to decades of overwork, social pressure, and digital noise. Psychologically, this renaissance represents a collective move towards self-regulation and mindful living. People are beginning to recognize that constant stimulation isn't sustainable, and that home is not a retreat from life, but a rhythm within it, a place to recharge before re-engaging with the world. In this new perspective, being a homebody no longer means being antisocial. It means understanding your own limits and building a lifestyle that honors them. The future of connection doesn't have to be louder. It can be calmer, slower, and more intentional. And that's not regression, it's evolution. In the end, the psychology of people who love staying at home isn't about hiding, it's about returning. Home is where performance fades and authenticity begins. It's the space where you stop chasing approval and start listening to your own rhythm. In that stillness, you reconnect with something. Modern life often drowns out a sense of inner peace that doesn't depend on noise, applause, or constant movement. Psychologists describe this as self-alignment, when your environment, emotions, and actions move in harmony. For many, home provides the best conditions for that alignment to happen. It's not the walls that matter, but what those walls allow: reflection, recovery, and real presence. Choosing stillness in a world obsessed with visibility is a quiet revolution. It's the courage to say, I don't need to be everywhere to feel alive. And that's the paradox. Once you find peace within your own space, you carry that peace wherever you go. You stop demanding that others make you feel at home, because you've built a home inside yourself. So if you're someone who loves staying in, don't apologize for it. You're not retreating, you're recharging. You're living at a pace that honors your mind and heart. If this video helped you understand yourself better, subscribe to the channel. We talk about the quiet side of psychology here. And share in the comments. What's your favorite homebody ritual, that one small thing that brings you peace?